One insight that surprised me is that shifting my stance in the classroom is not difficult. And I thought it would be difficult because I was used to my identity as the holder of knowledge. And I thought my job was to be incredibly well organized and have everything well plotted out. And I thought that changing from being that person to somebody that allowed learning to happen and grow in the classroom would be difficult. And it's actually not that difficult. And once you get a taste of what the results are of that shift, you will become addicted to it. I feel that the skills the students are gaining have very little to do with English, and they have everything to do with being healthy and engaged in the world. And so when I say healthy, I'm talking about the ability to interact with people who think differently from them, the confidence to engage with tension and to be excited about it instead of frightened by it, the hope and the belief that there are better ways to do things and that they have the skills to find that better way. That's why I feel that what's happening in the classroom is important, because I think it provides the groundwork and the framework for students to be successful, competent, happy, healthy people. 10, 15 years ago, my expectations were that students could read well and understand what they read and write about it very well. And I would give them a format of an essay, and my expectation was that they would be able to put their ideas into that format very well. That's about it. And it's not that good thinking didn't happen. I know it did. I know there was critical thinking happening. However, I definitely created structures that were limiting. And now my expectation is that students propose to me how they organize and present their information. And what I really want is for students to surprise me. And I wasn't surprised very often in the past. It was very rarely that I was surprised. And now I love that very often it's happening that I'm surprised by what I see in front of me. It feels exciting and energizing. And I don't know, I don't want to be silly and say joyful, but it feels joyful. The classroom feels quite joyful. It's playful, it's fun. It also feels important, by the way. I would add in there, it feels important. I am so much more open to change. I'm excited about change. And I think I would have told you 5 years ago that I love change, but I think I might have been lying. And I like growth. I do like change. I always love learning. So I've always loved learning, but I don't think I really understood what growth meant or what change meant. And definitely big change for me is not getting stressed at all when I come up against or beside somebody who thinks completely differently from me. And I know in the past I was very good at crushing other people's models. And I felt like being a leader was about having a vision and getting everybody on board. And I have a completely different stance now. My stance now is that when somebody thinks completely differently about the way we're doing things, that's awesome. Because I need to find out why they think the way they think, and I need to find out what it is in their model that works so that I can build an even better way of doing things in the classroom. I hope to cultivate a questioning stance. And I hope that students walk out of the class not necessarily knowing more or feeling that at the end of Ms. Warren's class, I now know English, but having more tools to question what it is that they do know. And I really want them to have a desire to shift their stance and not shift kind of willy-nilly every time they get new information, but that when you change your stance, when you get new data that's really compelling, that's a great thing. And I think I spent a lot of my career doing the exact opposite. I taught students how to get stuck in their stance, and I encouraged it. I showed them how to crush an opposing model and incorporate that into their essay. I even showed them how to ignore data that didn't confirm their stance. That was the first 15 years of my teaching. And I am so much more comfortable now that I am equipping students with the ability to think about information that doesn't confirm their stance and be excited that their stance can change, rather than to be proud that they have a thesis with evidence that only proves one viewpoint.